Now, Unordinary has just posted the first episode of Season 2, but I want you guys to remember, these character charts are only about the actions of the first season. So, if there's any more character development, then too bad, it sucks for them. But, let's discuss the queen of lightning herself, Remi. Remi is actually talked about before she actually appears. The reason that Serafina goes to Turf War and then fights Arlo is because of Remi. Remi has gone home because of an emergency, a family emergency. We don't really see her until episode 23, when we're presented the Queen of Wellston herself, complaining about making up exams, and we get to see some of her personality when she's talking to Wellston's Jack, Blake. Oh, come on. We both know the only reason I have that title is because Serafina doesn't want it. She and Arlo are on completely different power levels from us. I'm not getting myself involved in their problems anymore. Look, if I get caught in the crossfire, what will happen to me? I might get I don't know. A few things we can glean from this. First, even though she's the queen, she's humble about it. Yes, sure, Arlo and Serafina are stronger. In fact, Serafina's power level is 8.0 and Arlo's is a 6.3, while Remi is only a 5.4. She's definitely not the strongest, however, she's strong. This isn't the American education system. Remember, anyone with a power level above 5 is a high tier. According to the bonus chart, we get the top 10 of Wellston. And while we don't know 2, 5, 8, or 9 at the time, Remi is 4th. 4th in the school. That is nothing to sneeze at. But compared to the other high tiers, she doesn't really act like it. She's much more kind and forgiving than other high tiers. Compare Remi to the old queen, Cecile, who's the 5th ranked student. Remi is willing to help and forgive people, while Cecile is disrespectful and rude to even Remi, the queen, the one she should be listening to. It shows that Remi is probably one of the best students out there. She's kind to everyone, even though she's the queen and ranked 4th in the school. Anyways, the second part of that conversation is the very end of the conversation. She cuts herself off. I might get I don't know. I was a little confused why she did this, until I read a little more. Remi isn't in the school for the first 20 episodes because of a family emergency. We didn't get much until the rest of the conversation. I went to attend a funeral because my brother was murdered. Ray was Remi's brother. Ray was the king before Arlo, eventually passing down the torch to Arlo when he graduated. We didn't get much of Ray. Well, we didn't get much until the 2-part side story when he first entered Wellston, but before that we didn't really get much. Unless you're talking about his style of leading. He was a friend first. He wanted to make sure everyone could live in harmony. He wanted to make sure that high tiers and low tiers could get along. However, some people didn't like the way he led. He's a guy who ignored the hierarchy and tried to bring everyone on equal footing. He gave low tiers the false hope that they could actually compete in life, then burdened us high tiers with unnecessary responsibilities. He completely overlooked the fact that if you neglect the hierarchy, people become confused, fights will break out, and those who think they stand a chance will get hurt. Your brother left the school in complete chaos. At least Serafina and Arlo were able to clean up some of his mess. The reason that Remi is as kind and forgiving as she is because of Ray. He showed her that power levels don't mean you should treat people like trash. But what's really important is how Ray dies. Ray becomes a superhero, or in Unordinary's case, a vigilante. He wants to use his powers to help others. However, this gets him targeted and eventually killed by Ember, a shadow organization, which I'll talk about eventually. This leads to Remi to panic. Ray's a high tier, so how do they manage to take him down? Remi starts to worry about everyone. She's afraid that she won't be able to protect her friends and the people who follow and look up to her. So she goes kind of Ember crazy, asking Aizen and Blake to help put up posters and look for Ember stuff, even asking the king, Arlo, to help with it. As she puts it, sure, it's our job as royals to make them feel safe, but giving them a false sense of comfort won't help in the long run. Our main priority is to ensure that no one gets hurt by threats like Ember. And the best way to do that is to spread awareness, so they know how to protect themselves. Remi is kinda going crazy, but it's more of a panic. She's worried that the people might get killed. She's making sure that other students panic too, but really she's only looking out for other students as a royal. What are the other royals doing? Arlo's trying to break John. Blake's not doing much. Remi is the only royal who's trying to make sure no one dies. But when Arlo tells her to drop it, she gets more into it. Which leads into the real reason that Remi is trying to uncover Ember. Revenge. The authorities assured Remi that they would find who killed Ray. But after weeks with nothing, she wants to take it into her own hands. She wants justice. So if she needs to do it herself, then she will. She becomes the vigilante X-Ray in honor of her brother. She frees the town of Brandish from the tyranny of Waldo, which is a hilarious statement, and eventually meets the person who killed Ray. We're not 100% sure, but her ability Flame Claws, and many Ember victims are killed with burns and stabs. Anyways, they fight, and with the combined efforts of Eisen and Blake, they're able to send her running, but at the heavy cost to Remi. This causes Eisen to drop out, and Blake to consider stopping. Their friend was hurt and someone was killed. Remi doesn't want to stop, even when Arlo confronts her and telling her to tell the authorities everything. She says, "No, screw the authorities. They're a bunch of power-hungry phonies. They couldn't care less what happened to us. If you want me to stop pursuing Ember, fine, but I'm not giving anything up to the authorities." Her perception of the authorities and police have changed. As a royal, she believed that those who held power would help. Those who held power would make sure that those who weren't safe would be protected. But after 2 low-tier towns with no sign of police and authorities, she realized that they don't care. This is brought up again with Remi and John's talk. After Joker starts going after high tiers, going through the chain, wrecking Eisen, Blake, and Cecile, it's clear that he's going after Remi next. So they look into it. And Eisen admits to the others that John is the Joker. So Remi tries to be civil. She goes to John and tries to talk to him. Tries to make him stop the bloodshed and the pain. I would go through the entire conversation, but it's 2 episodes long, and John swears a bit too much in it. So I'll go over some of Remi's quotes. When John said that none of them deserve to be on top, because they all suck, Remi says, "What are you talking about? We've always tried to maintain a safe environment for everyone in the school." And when John asks if she considers this place safe, she explains, "Well, there aren't many of us, but we try to catch as many incidents as we can. We dissolve the unfair fights we see, and that sets an example for the rest of the school." In which John calls bull because it's the high tier's fault that the school is so unfair. In which Remi has a revelation. "I've been acting exactly as the authorities have, only focusing on the immediate problem and ignoring everyone else. Low tiers are suffering right in front of me and I completely overlooked it." John is so vengeful because of all the pain he's had to endure. "When I first entered Wellston, I wanted to be just like Ray and make the school safe for everyone. But it seems I failed. There's so much violence going on behind the scenes, and it breeds more violence. This cycle needs to end." Remi wants to break the cycle of violence. Her goal is to make this school safe, but she doesn't realize that she's the only one who's trying. None of the other high tiers are actually doing anything. And the reason that she thinks that they're trying to catch many incidents as possible is because she's trying to. She's even said, "It's our job as royals to make them feel safe." She tries. She really does try. But when she realizes that she needs to change the hierarchy, then she's willing. She's willing to change it if it means people can be safe. However, John, rather blinded by rage, or Remi idolizing her brother too much to believe that his methods of ruling wasn't the correct solution. But this leads to the conversation to end with the same resolution. John and Remi will fight. However, Remi changes her goal. Remi's goal isn't to win. She knows that she can't. She has a plan to disable him long enough to remove his mask. And with the help of Eisen Blake, she almost does it. And when she's pushed up against the wall, Arlo joins the battle. This almost worked, but it didn't. And like you already know, John beats the entire royal squad. Remi is a royal. She's part of the hierarchy. She's part of the authorities, the higher ups. But when she realizes that the hierarchy is wrong, she realizes that she needs to change the hierarchy because it's just as bad as the authorities. People who are just a bunch of power-hungry phonies, and she doesn't want to be a part of the cycle that breeds more violence, more pain, more suffering. She knows that she needs to change the authority. She wants everyone to be safe and protected. That's why I'm putting Remi into chaotic good. Someone who tries to be good and helpful to all, even if she needs to rebel against the set authority. I think Remi is probably the best character, the kindest and the most understanding person. She's the only one that seems to have morals. But it also means she's a bit idealistic and a bit too optimistic. I think she thinks everything can change if they say, hey, let's change it. She doesn't understand that other people already have the set notion, already have the set understanding of what they do. Look at this mid-tier when Remi tells her to stop. They're like, this is what I do already. Why are you telling me to stop? But I think the conversation with John and the fight with John may have grounded her a bit. May have made her understand that people want to fight, but she should change that. But that's all for today. And like always, thank you for watching.